Crypto is famous for its 100x returns, but many believe these kinds of returns are no longer possible.
No longer.
Well, this couldn't be further from the truth. Many cryptos have hit 100x's in recent years, and not just meme coins. With altcoins starting to wake up, now is the time to go hunting for the next 100x gems before they take off, and you'll have a higher chance of finding them if you know where and how to look. That's why today we're going to tell you exactly where and how to look for the next 100x altcoin. My name is Guy, and unlike an invitation to a billionaire's private island, this video is something it would be unwise to ignore. Okay, first things first, you need to know that nothing in this video is financial or investment advice. It's just educational content intended to help you find altcoins with potential. And if you want to get more of this type of content, then smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Okay, now I want to start with an example of a crypto that recently rallied by 100x to prove that these kinds of gains are still possible to find and that we know how to look for them. So, last year, the AI niche was in the spotlight, and towards the end of the year, the AI agents narrative started getting attention. That's when a crypto project called Virtuals Protocol started to go parabolic. Without getting technical, the Virtuals Protocol makes it possible to create AI agents. These AI agents then trade against the virtual token, which creates demand for virtual every time an AI agent is traded, and there was lots of trading. The result was that the virtual token rallied from 5 cents to $5, a 100x return. Notably, it took less than 3 months for Virtual to rally by 100x, specifically from mid-October 2024 to late December 2024. This is concrete proof that a 100x return is not only possible, but can happen very quickly. Now, believe it or not, but our research team here at the Coin Bureau discovered the Virtuals Protocol months before it rallied by 100x. One of our researchers first heard about it in May 2024 and told our Coin Bureau Club members about it in October, weeks before it went parabolic. Now, obviously, not every crypto our research team found went up by 100x, but we've identified dozens of cryptos with 100x potential over the last couple of years. And now that altcoin season looks like it's finally around the corner, we believe that many of our altcoin picks could see similar returns to Virtual very soon. We're honestly glad that we have such a long list because there may not be much time left to find more. And this begs the question of where you can find all this altcoin alpha, and the answer is the Coin Bureau Club. That's where you'll find all the cryptos that we're betting on in the coming months, weekly reviews of promising small cap altcoins, daily updates about emerging trends and narratives, and real-time discussions with elite members of the Coin Bureau community and even the Coin Bureau team. So, if you don't have the time or capacity to research altcoins yourself, then be sure to become a member of the Coin Bureau Club using the link below. Just make sure to hurry because the club will soon be undergoing a massive upgrade along with a membership price increase. So, if you sign up shortly after this video goes live, you'll lock in the members rate for life. So, check it out ASAP, link below. Now, if you'd rather try and find the next 100x altcoins yourself, the first thing you need to do is figure out which niche is likely to get big in the coming months, and which narratives within this niche will be easiest for investors to understand and allocate to. Now, it's important to note that these are two different things. For context, a niche is an umbrella term that applies to a crypto category, like tokenized real-world assets or RWAs. Narratives, on the other hand, are specific themes within a niche, like tokenized real estate. When a crypto niche like tokenized RWAs gets big, the cryptos that belong to the narratives that are the easiest for investors to understand are the ones that tend to have the highest potential for returns. The catch is that identifying the next top niche and the best narratives within it is just half the battle. Recall that the cryptos you find also need to be easy for investors to allocate to. This means that they either need to be listed on exchanges like Binance or Coinbase, or exist on chains that are cheap, fast, and accessible, like Solana, Sui, Hyperliquid, and Base. Remember, less accessibility means less inflows. This begs a bigger question, though, and that's how you can figure out which niches will become popular and which narratives within these niches are the most digestible for investors. In our experience, the answer is to look at which niche or chain is popular now and what the logical sequel will be. For example, at the time of shooting, Ethereum is very popular. That's because there's been lots of excitement around the stablecoin niche ever since the Genius Act became law in the US, and most of the stablecoins in circulation exist on Ethereum. This helped to attract attention and capital to ETH, which combined with a short squeeze to create a massive rally that's hopefully still ongoing as you watch this. The caveat is that there are also niches that can be thought of as being native to each chain. In Ethereum's case, that's DeFi, which is part of why DeFi altcoins on Ethereum rallied alongside ETH when it pumped. Of course, the use of stablecoins in DeFi was another contributing factor in the DeFi pump. And this is extremely important to point out because it not only gives us a sense of which niche is going to get big, but which chain this niche will be focused on. To quickly recap, ETH is now rallying because of FOMO around stablecoins, and DeFi is rallying due to their dominance in Ethereum's ecosystem and the fact that stablecoins are used in DeFi. In other words, we have two niches in play, stablecoins and DeFi. So, what other niches are related to stablecoins and DeFi? Well, the first one that comes to mind for us is tokenized RWAs. That's because most tokenized RWAs trade against stablecoins, and many of them are likely to be used in DeFi, either as something to trade or as collateral for stablecoin loans. Logically, this means we need to figure out which chains are popular for tokenized RWAs. Well, according to rwa.xyz, the top 5 are Ethereum, zk-Sync, Solana, Aptos, and Stellar. We'll use Solana for the purposes of this example because it's a perfect example. To bring you up to speed, Solana recently launched permissionless tokenized stocks on its chain. These are now being integrated into its DeFi protocols. This suggests that capital is likely to rotate into Solana's ecosystem after it's done playing in Ethereum's ecosystem. Lo and behold, we saw evidence of this recently. The moment that ETH started chopping for a few days, capital started rotating into Solana's ecosystem, causing Sol to rally above $200. So, here's another question. What niche is popular on Solana that's related to things like DeFi? That's right, meme coins. Wouldn't you know, many meme coins on Solana started rallying the moment that Sol started pumping. It's important to note that a part of this pump was just because most meme coins trade against Sol. So when Sol's fiat value rises, so does theirs, even without any buys. Now, final question, what niches are related to meme coins? Well, in this case, the first one that comes to mind for us is NFTs, because many meme coins also launch NFT collections as a means of increasing token utility and engaging their communities. As it so happens, NFT collections on Ethereum and Solana recently started rallying for the first time in years. Is that a coincidence? Well, let us know in the comments. Anyways, once you've figured out which niche is likely to become big and which chains it's likely to be focused on, the next step is to look for narratives within this niche that are easy for investors to understand. There's no real hard and fast rule on how to do this, just use your imagination. One example I used earlier was tokenized real estate for tokenized RWAs. Now, we actually covered a tokenized real estate RWA project on Solana for our CoinBureau Club members that seems to have serious potential. Reminder that the link is down below. Anyhow, another example of a narrative that's easy for investors to understand is a decentralized bank account or a decentralized savings account, which would fall under the niche of DeFi. Similarly, cat meme coins could become a narrative in the meme coin niche simply because it's a logical follow-up to the dominance of dog-themed meme coins. I know it's not logical, but
logic is not enough.
You know what I mean. And that reminds me, niches like meme coins and AI have likely seen most of their gains in percentage terms for this cycle because many of the narratives within them already pumped a lot in 2024. To be clear, this doesn't mean that meme coins and AI cryptos won't rally, it just means they're likely to rally less compared to other niches. But again, it's less so about the niche and more so about the narrative. In the case of AI, many cryptos in the AI infrastructure narrative have already seen most of their gains for this cycle. By contrast, you could argue that AI agents still haven't experienced a proper rally, especially now that new narratives are emerging around the fusion between AI agents and DeFi, known as DeFi AI. Decentralized hedge funds and decentralized personal assistants could still become very big narratives. In any case, the key takeaway is that you want to ask yourself what themes investors would have the easiest time understanding in different crypto categories. If you're struggling to come up with ideas, try thinking about the similarities between crypto niches and their Web 2 equivalents. Specifically, try and think of things that are likely to be familiar or intuitive to the average person in those sectors. Take GameFi, for example. Now, it's essentially the same thing as regular gaming, but with crypto incentives thrown in. Chances are that the most popular GameFi games will be those that are the most similar to games that the average person is already familiar with or could easily understand. Minecraft comes to mind. And to make sure you've actually chosen a narrative that's easy for the average person to understand, ask yourself this question. Is this something that my mum or dad would understand and invest in? If the answer is a firm no, it's probably not a good narrative. If the answer is yes, then you're probably on the right track. And I'll repeat that they must be able to also easily invest in the crypto in question. Otherwise, it's pointless. Now, once you've got yourself a list of narratives that are easy to understand and fall under niches that are likely to become big, then you can finally start looking for cryptos that fall into these narratives. As you might have guessed, this is the hardest part because searching for things like decentralized Minecraft doesn't usually give you very good results. There is, though, one useful tool that can help you with this: Grok. That's right, Grok, the AI that's free to use on X. You see, most AIs are horrible when it comes to researching crypto. That's because an AI is only as good as its data, and there is a lot of bad data out there about crypto. Think sponsored or biased articles, outdated documentation, and so on. The interesting thing is that the majority of the most up-to-date information about crypto can be found on X. Case in point, many of the articles you read on crypto media websites like Cointelegraph will have an X post as their source. Newsflash, but Grok is integrated directly into X. This makes it the ideal AI to research crypto with, at least among the free options. We're sure there are probably better paid services out there. Regardless, asking Grok about things like which GameFi game is the most similar to Minecraft is a good starting point to get a sense of where to look. But it's worth repeating that you can't just pay attention to the coin or token. You also need to pay attention to the chain. If you find a decentralized Minecraft crypto on some old and dusty blockchain that nobody uses and is hard to access, it probably isn't going to do all that well. More importantly, you need to pay attention to the market cap because that's what ultimately determines how much a crypto could pump. Now, some would say the Sandbox is an example of a GameFi crypto that's like a decentralized Minecraft, and we would tend to agree. The only problem is that Sand's market cap is already $800 million. Not to burst anyone's bubble here, but Sand probably won't pump by 100x. That's because this would give Sand a market cap of more than $80 billion. And for reference, that would make it bigger than Cardano and Hyperliquid combined, and that is extremely unlikely to happen. As a rule of thumb, an altcoin needs to have a market cap of less than $100 million to have a chance of hitting a 100x. That's because a 100x increase in a market cap of, say, $10 to $20 million works out to just $1 to $2 billion. Now, if you've been around since 2021, you'll know that there will be hundreds of cryptos that hit market caps in the single-digit billions at the peak. Right now, there's only about 80. This means there are likely to be dozens of altcoins that are currently less than $100 million that will reach market caps of $1 billion or more in the coming months. It goes without saying that you can't predict exactly which altcoins will 100x. But if you filter by niche, and then by narrative, and then by chain, and then by market cap, chances are you'll realize there are only a few dozen cryptos that have a chance of realistically hitting a 100x, particularly if you take the time to do the research. We would know we've literally researched hundreds of cryptos over the last 2 years that had potential at first glance, but only a few dozen did upon closer inspection. And this brings me to the biggest question of all, and that's which altcoins have 100x potential? Well, the honest answer is that we don't know for sure, but there is something that we've noticed while researching promising altcoins. The altcoins with the most potential appear to exist primarily on Solana and Base, and it makes perfect sense if you think about it. Solana and Base are both fast, low-cost, and easily accessible chains. Solana can be easily accessed via the Phantom wallet, whereas Base can be accessed via Coinbase's Base app. And not only that, but Ethereum's and Solana's ecosystems are the largest and most active by almost every metric, be it active wallets, stablecoin volume, or total value locked. As we've seen, users and capital tend to go where most users and capital already are. Put differently, Ethereum's and Solana's ecosystems are likely to remain dominant for the remainder of this cycle. To be clear, this doesn't mean that altcoins in other ecosystems won't rally or can't 100x. It's almost guaranteed that there will be many, but the thing is that they will be much harder to find, and the likelihood that they achieve astronomical gains will be much lower. At the end of the day, crypto is fundamentally a game of chance. With limited capital, you want to be very strategic with your bets. There's a huge silver lining here too, and that's that if it's true that most altcoins with 100x potential exist on Solana and Base, then it narrows down the list of narratives and altcoins even further. That's because there are arguably only a handful of niches that are central to Solana and Base, such as meme coins, tokenized RWAs, AI agents, PayFi, and potentially GameFi. SocialFi seems to be an emerging one as well. It also makes it easier to identify exactly which altcoins will do well. Altcoins with the closest connections to key players in Solana and Base's ecosystems will probably outperform other altcoins that are similar, and yes, we have found many of these in our research as well. They're not that hard to find if you pay attention. Just look and see which crypto projects these key players are following and promoting. Better yet, listen to interviews with these key players and see what crypto projects they mention. You'll be surprised at how many promising altcoins you'll come across and the kind of alpha you'll get. It turns out that people often say a lot when you give them a microphone and just let them speak. With enough research, you'll have as much alpha as the insiders and will have a better sense of whether you should buy or sell. Okay, if you enjoyed that video, then you are going to love our comparison of Ethereum and Solana, and you can check that out right here. If you made it this far, thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Guy, over and out.